The sun was setting over the distant hills of Lumina 7, casting a soft golden glow across the landscape. The colony, named New Hope, stood at the edge of a vast forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. This forest was unlike any other. On Earth, its trees were tall and thin, their bark glowing faintly with hues of blue and green. Tiny lights flickered among the leaves, like fireflies but brighter. Giving the impression that the forest itself was alive, Emily Carter walked slowly. Along the narrow path leading into the woods, she had always been drawn to nature, even back on Earth. Her job as an animal behaviorist gave her plenty of opportunities to explore, but today felt different. There was something about this part of the forest that called to her, almost as if it were whispering secrets only she could hear. She carried a small backpack filled with basic supplies: a water bottle, some snacks, a first aid kit, and a notebook for jotting down observations. As she ventured deeper, the air grew cooler, and the sounds of the colony faded behind her. Bird-zor creatures that resembled birds chirped melodiously from above, while rustling noises hinted at smaller animals moving through the underbrush. Emily paused occasionally to examine plants or take photos with her handheld device. Everything here seemed so alien yet strangely familiar, like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be solved. Suddenly, a faint whimper broke the tranquility. At first, Emily thought it might just be the wind playing tricks on her ears, but then she heard it again, louder this time. It sounded pained, desperate. Following the sound, she pushed aside thick vines and stepped carefully over roots until she reached a small clearing. There, tangled in a mess of thorny vines, lay a creature unlike anything she'd ever seen. It looked somewhat like a fox, but its fur shimmered with an ethereal glow, shifting between silver and gold depending on how the light hit it. Its large, almond-shaped eyes glowed faintly, filled with fear and discomfort. One of its front paws was caught tightly in the vines, and blood trickled down its leg, where the thorns had pierced its skin. Despite its predicament, the creature's beauty was breathtaking. Emily crouched down slowly, speaking softly to calm the frightened animal. "Hey there," she said gently. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The creature flinched at her voice, but didn't try to escape further, likely because it couldn't move without worsening its injury. "Ouch, that must hurt," Emily murmured sympathetically. "You naughty creature. It looks like you hurt your paws." She reached out cautiously, letting the creature sniff her hand before attempting to touch it. To her relief, it didn't snap or bite. Instead, it let out another soft whimper, as though pleading for help. Emily opened her backpack and pulled out a pair of gloves and a small pair of scissors. Working carefully, she began cutting away the vines around the creature's paw. Snip brought a slight twitch from the animal, but it remained still, trusting her despite its obvious pain. Once the last vine fell away, Emily examined the wound more closely. The cuts weren't deep, but they needed cleaning to prevent infection. She poured some antiseptic onto a cloth and dabbed it gently against the injured area. The creature winced and tried to pull back, but Emily held firm. "I know it stings," she said soothingly, "but we need to clean it up. You'll feel better soon, I promise." After finishing, she wrapped the paw in a soft bandage. By now the creature seemed less afraid, watching her with curious eyes. Its tail, which had been tucked tightly against its body, began to wag slightly. Emily smiled. "You're quite the little fighter, aren't you?" she said. "Let's see if we can get you untangled completely." Once free, the creature stumbled to its feet, testing its weight on the bandaged paw. It wobbled briefly but managed to stand. Emily noticed something around its neck, a thin metal band embedded with tiny, glowing symbols. They pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Intrigued, she leaned closer to inspect it, but the creature backed away, wary of her sudden interest. "All right," Emily assured it. "I'm just curious." She reached out again, slower this time, and lightly touched the band. The moment her fingers made contact, the symbols flared brightly, startling both her and the creature. It darted a few steps away, its glowing fur flickering erratically. "Whoa, easy," Emily said, holding her hands up. I didn't mean to scare you." She watched as the creature calmed down, its glow returning to its previous soft shimmer. Whatever the band was, it clearly wasn't ordinary, but for now, she decided to leave it alone. Instead, she focused on gaining the creature's trust. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, she rummaged through her bag and pulled out a piece of dried fruit. Holding it out, she waited patiently. After a moment of hesitation, the creature crept forward, sniffed the offering, and cautiously took it from her hand. As it chewed, Emily smiled again. "See, not so bad, right?" Over the next hour, Emily stayed in the clearing, feeding the creature bits of food and observing its behavior. It was intelligent, that much was clear. Every movement it made was deliberate, almost calculated. When it wagged its tail or tilted its head, it reminded her of a dog, but smarter, more aware. She found herself growing attached to it already. By the time the sky darkened, Emily knew she couldn't stay much longer. Reluctantly, she stood up and brushed off her pants. "I should probably head back," she told the creature. "But I'll come visit you tomorrow, okay?" She hesitated, unsure if it understood her words. Then, on impulse, she added, "I'll call you Spark, because your fur sparkles like starlight." The creature perked up at the name, its glow brightening momentarily. Emily laughed softly. "Guess you like it, huh? All right, Spark, see you soon." As she turned to leave, Spark followed her a short distance before stopping at the edge of the clearing. Watching her go, its glowing form stood out against the shadows of the forest. Emily glanced back once more, feeling a strange sense of connection. Little did she know, meeting Spark would change everything, not just for her, but for all of New Hope. When Emily finally returned to the colony, she couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious creature. She recounted the encounter to Ryan Miller, a close friend and fellow settler who worked as an engineer. Ryan listened intently, his brow furrowing when she described the glowing band around Spark's neck. "That doesn't sound natural," he said thoughtfully. "Maybe it's some kind of tech. Do you think it belongs to whoever lived here before us?" "I don't know," Emily admitted. "But there's definitely something special about Spark. I want to learn more." Nodded. "We should check it out together sometime. If nothing else, it'll give me an excuse to test my new scanner." For the rest of the evening, Emily's mind kept drifting back to the forest. She wondered what secrets Spark held and whether uncovering them would bring answers or complications. Either way, she felt certain of one thing. Her life on Lumina 7 was about to get a whole lot more interesting. The next morning, Emily woke up early, her mind buzzing with thoughts of Spark. She couldn't wait to return to the forest and see the creature again. After quickly eating breakfast, she grabbed her backpack and headed out, making sure to pack extra food and supplies. On her way, she stopped by Ryan Miller's workshop to tell him about her plan. Ryan was tinkering with a small handheld device when Emily walked in. He looked up and grinned. "You're really serious about this, huh?" he asked, setting the gadget aside. "Of course I am," Emily replied. "Spark is amazing. There's so much we don't know about it tore that collar around its neck. I think it might be important." Ryan nodded thoughtfully.
Aye.
"Count me in. Let me grab my scanner, and we'll head out together. That collar has tech in it. I want to take a closer look." With Ryan by her side, Emily felt more confident about venturing deeper into the forest. As they walked, the glowing trees seemed even brighter than before, casting soft light onto the path ahead. The air smelled fresh, with hints of something floral mixed in. Birds chirped overhead, and every now and then, they heard rustling sounds from creatures hidden in the underbrush. When they reached the clearing where Emily had found Spark the day before, the creature wasn't there. Emily frowned, scanning the area. "Maybe it got scared and ran off," she said, disappointment creeping into her voice. "Don't worry," Ryan reassured her. "If it's smart, it'll come back. Just give it time." They decided to wait, sitting on a fallen log while keeping an eye out for any movement. After about 20 minutes, a faint glow appeared between the trees. It grew brighter as Spark cautiously stepped into the clearing. Its bandaged paw was held slightly off the ground, but otherwise it seemed unharmed. "There you are," Emily exclaimed softly, smiling as she stood up. Spark hesitated at first, watching them warily, but when Emily held out a piece of fruit, it slowly approached. Ryan stayed quiet, observing the interaction carefully. Once Spark was close enough, Ryan activated his scanner, aiming it at the glowing band around the creature's neck. The device beeped softly as it collected data. Spark flinched at the noise, backing away slightly, but Emily gently stroked its fur to calm it down. "What does it say?" Emily asked, glancing at the scanner. Ryan frowned, studying the readings. "It's definitely some kind of advanced technology. The symbols on the band are emitting a low-frequency signal. I've never seen anything like it." "Do you think it's tracking Spark?" Emily wondered aloud. "It could be," Ryan replied. "Or maybe it's communicating with something or someone else. Either way, it's not human-made. Whoever created this was way ahead of us." Emily looked at Spark, her curiosity deepening. "Do you think it belongs to another species? Maybe one that lived here before we arrived?" Ryan shrugged. "It's possible. Yeah, but if that's true, why would they leave Spark behind? What happened to them?" Before Emily could respond, a loud rustling sound came from nearby. Both of them turned sharply toward the noise, their hearts racing. A moment later, Dr. Laura Bennett emerged from the trees. She was the colony's lead xenobiologist, and known for her no-nonsense attitude. "What are you two doing out here?" Laura asked, her sharp eyes narrowing as she noticed Spark. "And what is that thing?" "This is Spark," Emily explained quickly. "I found it yesterday. It was injured, so I helped it. We're trying to figure out what this band around its neck is." Laura stepped closer, examining the creature with a critical gaze. "Interesting," she muttered. "That band looks artificial, but it's unlike anything I've encountered." "Where did you find it?" "In the forest," Emily replied. "It was tangled in vines and hurt. I couldn't just leave it there." Laura crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. "You realize this could be dangerous, right? You have no idea what this creature is or where it came from. For all we know, it could be carrying diseases or worse." Emily shook her head firmly. "Spark hasn't shown any signs of aggression. It's intelligent and seems harmless. Besides, it saved itself from being trapped. Doesn't that suggest it's capable of reasoning?" Laura sighed, clearly unconvinced. "Even if that's true, bringing it near the colony poses risks. What if it attracts predators or something else we can't handle?" "We'll be careful," Emily insisted. "I just want to understand it better. Isn't that why we're here? To learn about this planet and its inhabitants?" Laura didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied Spark for a long moment, her gaze lingering on the glowing band. Finally, she said, "Fine. Keep an eye on it, but report anything unusual. And don't let your emotions cloud your judgment, Emily. This isn't Earth anymore." After Laura left, Emily felt a mix of relief and frustration. She knew the scientist had a point, but she also believed Spark deserved compassion. To Ryan, she said, "Let's keep working on figuring out that signal. Maybe it'll lead us to answers." Over the next few days, Emily spent most of her free time with Spark, learning more about its behavior. It quickly became clear that the creature was highly intelligent. It responded to simple commands, such as sit or stay, and seemed to enjoy playing fetch with sticks. Whenever Emily spoke to it, Spark would tilt its head, as though trying to understand her words. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily sat cross-legged on the ground, feeding Spark bits of dried fruit. Ryan joined her, holding his scanner. "I've been analyzing the signal," he said. "It's faint but consistent. I think it's coming from somewhere deep in the forest." "Deep in the forest?" Emily repeated, her eyebrows rising. "How far?" "Hard to say without better equipment," Ryan admitted. "But it's definitely beyond the areas we've explored so far." Emily glanced at Spark, who was happily munching on a piece of apple. "You think it knows where it's coming from?" Ryan shrugged. "Possibly. Animals, especially smart ones, often have a strong sense of direction. If Spark's collar is connected to whatever's sending the signal, it might instinctively know where to go." That night, after returning to the colony, Emily couldn't stop thinking about Ryan's theory. Could Spark be leading them to something important? Or was it simply reacting to instincts it didn't fully understand? The creature directly, but communication barriers made that impossible. Later that week, strange things began happening around the colony. Late at night, settlers reported seeing unusual lights hovering over the forest. Some claimed the lights moved in patterns, almost as if they were searching for something. Others dismissed the sightings as tricks of the eye or reflections from the glowing trees. Emily, however, suspected otherwise. One evening, she woke up to find Spark pacing anxiously by the window of her quarters. Its fur shimmered brightly, pulsating in rhythm with the distant lights visible through the glass. It was as though Spark could sense their presence and it was agitated. Concerned, Emily opened the window slightly, allowing Spark to peek outside. The creature's glowing intensified, and it let out a soft whine. "What is it, Spark?" Emily whispered, placing a hand on its back. "Do you recognize those lights?" Spark turned to look at her, its large eyes filled with urgency. Then, without warning, it darted toward the door, scratching at it insistently. "You want to go out there, don't you?" Emily murmured. Hesitated, torn between curiosity and caution. Eventually, she grabbed a flashlight and slipped on her shoes. "All right, let's see what's going on." As they stepped outside, the colony was eerily quiet. Most settlers were asleep, unaware of the lights dancing above the treetops. Emily followed Spark as it led her toward the edge of the settlement, its glow serving as a guide in the darkness. They stopped at the tree line, where the lights hovered closest to the ground. Suddenly, Spark froze, its body rigid. The pulsating glow around its neck synchronized with the lights above, creating a mesmerizing display. Emily watched in awe as the lights descended slowly, forming a circle around them. Each orb emitted a soft hum, filling the air with a soothing melody. "What is this?" Emily breathed, her heart pounding. She reached out to touch one of the orbs, but it floated. "Just out of reach?" Spark nudged her leg gently, as if urging her to stay still. For several minutes, they stood there, surrounded by the glowing orbs. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the lights ascended back into the sky and vanished. The forest returned to its usual quiet state, leaving Emily and Spark alone once more. Back at the colony, Emily struggled to make sense of what she'd witnessed. Had the lights been a natural phenomenon, or had they been sent by whoever or whatever had created Spark's collar? She knew one thing for certain. The mysteries of Luminous 7 were far from solved. The next day, Emily shared her experience with Ryan. At first, he was skeptical. But when she described the synchronization between Spark's glow and the lights, his interest grew. "It sounds like some kind of communication," he said. "Maybe Spark's collar is part of a network or a key to unlocking something bigger?" Emily nodded, her determination stronger than ever.
"We need to follow the signal," she said.
"Whatever it leads to, it's important. Sure, it might be the only one who can show us the way." Ryan agreed, though he warned her to proceed carefully. "This planet is full of surprises," he reminded her. "Not all of them are friendly." Despite the risks, Emily felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. With Spark by her side and Ryan's support, she prepared for the journey into the unknown. The decision to follow the signal was not made lightly. Emily knew that venturing deeper into the forest came with risks, but her curiosity outweighed her fear. With Ryan's help, she prepared for the journey carefully. They packed food, water, medical supplies, and tools for navigating the dense wilderness. Ryan also brought his scanner, hoping to track the signal more accurately as they moved. Before leaving, Emily visited Spark one last time to check on its bandaged paw. The wound had healed well, though the creature still favored the injured leg. Slightly, she knelt beside it, stroking its shimmering fur. "Are you ready for this?" she asked softly. Spark tilted its head, its glowing eyes meeting hers as if to say, "Yes, you really trust this thing, don't you?" Ryan remarked, watching them from a short distance away. He wasn't entirely comfortable relying on an alien creature, but he trusted Emily's instincts. "I do," Emily replied firmly. "Spark hasn't given us any reason to doubt it. Besides, if we want answers, this is our best chance." With their preparations complete, Emily, Ryan, and Spark set out early the next morning. The air was crisp, and the forest seemed alive with energy. As they walked, the glowing trees cast shifting patterns of light onto the ground, making it feel like they were stepping through a dream. Spark led the way, its collar pulsating faintly in rhythm with the signal Ryan's scanner picked up at first. The path was easy to follow, winding gently through clusters of bioluminescent plants and over soft moss-covered roots. But as they ventured farther from the colony, the terrain became rougher. Thick vines blocked their way, forcing them to cut through with knives. Massive tree trunks loomed overhead, their branches twisting together to form a dense canopy that filtered out most sunlight. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest grew, until even the chirping of birds faded into silence. Despite the eerie atmosphere, Spock remained calm, guiding them steadily forward. Occasionally, it would pause, sniffing the air or listening intently before continuing. Its confidence reassured Emily, who found herself glancing nervously at the shadows between the trees. After several hours of walking, Ryan stopped to check his scanner. "The signal's getting stronger," he announced. "We must be close." Emily nodded, scanning their surroundings. The forest here looked different, older somehow. The trees were gnarled and twisted, their bark covered in strange carvings that resembled symbols. Some of the markings glowed faintly, matching the pattern on Spark's collar. Emily reached out to touch one of the carvings, feeling a faint warmth beneath her fingertips. "These look ancient," she murmured. "Do you think whoever made them is connected to Spark?" Ryan shrugged. "It's possible, whoever created that collar clearly had advanced technology. Maybe these ruins are part of their legacy." As they continued, the forest opened up into a wide clearing. In the center stood a structure unlike anything Emily had ever seen. It wasn't a building in the traditional sense, it was more like a collection of stone pillars arranged in a circle, each etched with intricate designs. At the heart of the formation was a pedestal, smooth and polished, with a flat surface that gleamed faintly. "This has to be it," Ryan said, his voice tinged with awe. "Whatever's sending the signal, it's coming from here." Spark trotted ahead, stopping near the pedestal. Its glow intensified, syncing with the faint hum emanating from the structure. Emily approached cautiously, her pulse quickening. The carvings on the pedestal matched the ones on Spark's collar exactly, down to the smallest detail. "What should we do?" Emily asked, turning to Ryan. He hesitated, studying the pedestal. "I'm not sure. This could be some kind of interface or a trap. We need to be careful." Before they could decide, Spark stepped closer to the pedestal and pressed its nose against the glowing surface. A burst of light erupted, momentarily blinding them. When Emily blinked away the spots in her vision, she saw a holographic image hovering above the pedestal. It depicted humanoid figures standing alongside creatures that resembled Spark there, forms outlined in shimmering light. A melodic voice filled the air, speaking in a language neither Emily nor Ryan understood. However, the tone was soothing, almost musical. After a moment, the hologram shifted, showing scenes of the planet thriving with life. The humanoids appeared to live harmoniously with nature, tending to the land and caring for animals. Then, the images changed abruptly, depicting destruction fires raging, forests wilting, skies darkening. The humanoids vanished, leaving behind only ruins. When the hologram ended, the voice spoke again, this time in broken but understandable English. "Guardians, gone. Balance lost. Creatures remain. Key to restoration." Emily stared at the pedestal, her mind racing. "Did you hear that?" she whispered to Ryan. "They called themselves Guardians." "Yeah. Do you think they were the original inhabitants of this planet?" "It makes sense," Ryan replied. "Whoever they were, they left something behind, something tied to Spark in these ruins." As they processed the revelation, Spark's collar began to emit a steady pulse, resonating with the pedestal. The symbols on both surfaces lit up brightly, casting a warm glow across the clearing. Emily felt a strange pull, as if the structure itself was inviting her to interact with it. "Should I touch it?" she asked uncertainly. Ryan frowned. "What if it triggers something dangerous?" But Spark nudged Emily gently, urging her forward. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand on the pedestal. Instantly, the glow intensified, and the hologram reappeared, this time focusing on Spark. The voice spoke again, clearer now, creature bonded. Chosen guide. Restore balance. Protect Lumina 7. Emily stepped back, overwhelmed. What does that mean, chosen guide? Is Spark supposed to help us fix whatever went wrong here? It looks that way, Ryan said, scratching his head. But how? And why us? Before they could discuss further, a loud rustling sound came from the edge of the clearing. Turning sharply, they saw movement in the underbrush. Spark growled, softly, its fur bristling. Emily tensed, gripping a flashlight tightly. Who's there? Ryan called out, raising his scanner defensively to their relief. It wasn't a predator that emerged, but Dr. Laura Bennett, flanked by 2 other settlers. Her expression was stern, her sharp eyes scanning the scene. What are you doing here? She demanded, and what is all this? We followed the signal, Emily explained quickly. This place sits connected to Spark. Look, she gestured toward the pedestal and the glowing hologram. Laura stepped closer, examining the structure with keen interest. This is incredible, she muttered. If this is real, it changes everything we thought we knew about this planet. It's real, Ryan confirmed. The hologram showed us. Well, a message. About restoring balance to Lumina 7. Spark seems to be part of it. Laura turned to study Spark, her gaze lingering on the glowing collar. Fascinating, she said, but dangerous. We don't know what activating this site might unleash. For all we know, it could attract hostile forces, or worse. We can't just ignore it, Emily argued. This could be our chance to understand the planet better and maybe even help it heal. Laura sighed, clearly conflicted. Fine, but we proceed carefully. No unnecessary risks. As the group debated their next steps, Spark wandered closer to the pedestal, its glow growing brighter. Suddenly, the symbols on its collar flared and the entire structure vibrated slightly. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. What's happening? Ryan shouted over the noise. I don't know, Emily replied, shielding. Her ears, Spark stopped, but Spark didn't seem frightened. Tst. It stood tall, its eyes fixed on the pedestal. The hum peaked, and then, with a flash of light, everything went silent. When the brightness faded, the clearing looked unchanged, but the air felt different, charged with an indescribable energy. Laura broke the silence first. What just happened? I think Spark activated something, Emily said, staring at the creature in amazement. Maybe it unlocked part of the system. Ryan checked his scanner, which was buzzing softly. The signal's stronger now, spreading outward like ripples in water. Laura frowned. Spreading where? Toward the colony? No, Ryan replied. Deeper into the forest. Whatever's happening, it's affecting the planet itself. Emily knelt beside Spark, her heart swelling with admiration. You're amazing, you know that? She said, scratching behind its ears. You really are special. Though none of them fully understood what had occurred, they agreed to return to the colony and share their findings. On the way back, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they'd stumbled onto something monumental. The hologram's message about restoring balance lingered in her mind, along with the realization that Spark was far more than just an intelligent animal. By the time they reached New Hope, word of their discovery had already spread. Settlers gathered around, eager to hear about the mysterious ruins and the glowing creature that seemed central to the mystery. Among the crowd was Daniel Hayes, a pragmatic leader known for his focus on practical solutions rather than abstract ideals. What's the point of all this? Daniel asked bluntly, addressing Emily. Even if this balance stuff is real, how does it benefit us? We came here to survive, not play guardian to some alien ecosystem. It's not just about survival, Emily countered. We can restore the planet. Everyone benefits, including us. Healthy ecosystems mean more resources, safer living conditions, and a better future for all of us. The days following the discovery of the ruins were filled with tension and anticipation. While some settlers supported Emily's efforts to explore further, others remained skeptical, worried about the risks involved. Daniel Hayes, in particular, voiced his concerns loudly during meetings, arguing that humanity's priority should be survival, not meddling with alien technology or ecosystems. We're here to build a new home, Out, Daniel said during one heated discussion. Not to play savior for a planet we barely understand. What if Spark's collar is part of something dangerous? What if activating those ruins brings trouble we can't handle? Emily listened patiently, her hands clasped tightly in front. Of her, she understood the fear behind his words, but couldn't ignore what she had seen or the message from the hologram. I get it, she replied calmly. We're all scared of the unknown. But think about it, what if helping this planet helps us too? The hologram talked about restoring balance. Healthy ecosystems mean more resources, cleaner air, safer living conditions. Isn't that worth exploring? Ryan nodded in agreement. And let's not forget Spark. It hasn't shown any signs of aggression. If anything, it's been guiding. Us? Doesn't that suggest it wants to help? Daniel frowned, clearly unconvinced. Even so, we don't know enough. Rushing into this could put everyone at risk. The debate dragged on, dividing the colony. Some settlers sided with Emily and Ryan, eager to investigate further, while others aligned with Daniel, prioritizing caution over curiosity. Meanwhile, Spark stayed close to Emily, its glowing fur dimming slightly whenever voices grew loud or arguments flared. It seemed to sense the tension and perhaps even share Emily's frustration. One evening, after another long meeting, Emily sat alone. Near the edge of the settlement, staring out at the glowing forest, Spark padded up beside her, curling into a ball at her feet. She smiled faintly, running her fingers through its shimmering fur. You'd think they'd trust me by now, she murmured. I'm just trying to do the right thing. Spark tilted, its head as though listening intently. Its eyes glowed softly, reflecting the faint light of the stars above. For a moment, Emily felt a deep connection to the creature, as if it understood her struggles better than anyone else. The next morning, Emily decided to take matters into her own hands. With Ryan's support, she planned a second expedition to the ruins, hoping to gather more information. They would go quietly, without seeking approval from the colony leaders, knowing that permission was unlikely to come. Laura reluctantly agreed to cover for them, insisting they stay safe and avoid unnecessary risks as they prepared to leave. Emily packed extra supplies, including a small camera, to document their findings. We need proof, she told Ryan. Something concrete to show everyone back home. Agreed, Ryan replied, adjusting the strap of his scanner. But remember, this isn't just about convincing Daniel. Whatever happens out there, we have to be ready for anything. With Spark leading the way once again, they set off into the forest. The journey felt different this time, quieter, heavier somehow. Both Emily and Ryan knew they were stepping into uncharted territory, both literally and figuratively. Every step brought them closer to answers, but also to potential danger. When they reached the clearing, the ruins stood exactly as they had left them, bathed in the soft glow of the surrounding trees. Spark approached the pedestal first, its collar pulsating rhythmically. Emily followed, her heart pounding as she placed her hand on the smooth surface. The symbols lit up instantly, casting a warm light across the area. This time, the hologram appeared almost immediately. Instead of showing scenes of destruction or ancient civilizations, it focused solely on Spark. The melodic voice spoke again, clearer now. Chosen guide, key to restoration. Follow the path. Waken the guardians. What path? Emily whispered, looking around. What guardians? Before Ryan could respond, Spark darted toward the edge of the clearing, stopping near a narrow trail obscured by vines. Its glow brightened, illuminating the way forward. It looks like Spark knows where to go, Ryan said, raising an eyebrow. Should we follow? Emily hesitated only briefly before nodding. If this is part of restoring balance, then yes. Let's see where it leads. The trail wound through dense underbrush, twisting and turning unpredictably. Along the way, they encountered strange plants and glowing crystals embedded in the ground. Each crystal emitted a low hum, resonating with the signal from Spark's collar. Ryan scanned them carefully, noting their unique energy signatures. These must be connected to the ruins somehow, he muttered. They're amplifying the signal. After hours of walking, the trail opened into another clearing, a vast, circular space surrounded by towering stone pillars. At the center stood a massive structure resembling a dome, its surface covered in intricate carvings that pulsed faintly with light. Spark stopped at the entrance, waiting for Emily and Ryan to catch up. This has to be it. Emily breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. The place from the hologram, the Guardian's resting place. Ryan nodded, his expression serious. Let's hope whatever's inside is friendly. As they stepped closer, the carvings on the dome began to shift, rearranging themselves into patterns that matched the symbols on Spark's collar. A doorway appeared, glowing brightly as it slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the air was cool and still, filled with a faint, melodic hum. Spark led the way again, its confidence unwavering. The interior of the dome was unlike anything they had ever seen. Walls made of translucent material shimmered with moving images, scenes of Luminous 7 thriving with life. Rivers flowing freely, forests teeming with creatures. In the center of the room stood a large console, similar to the pedestal at the ruins. But far more complex. Emily approached cautiously, her hand trembling as she touched the console. Instantly, the images on the walls shifted, focusing on a group of humanoid figures standing together. Their faces were serene, their forms outlined. In shimmering light, the melodic voice returned, speaking directly to them. Guardians. Chosen protectors of Luminous 7. Balance lost. Harmony disrupted. Creatures remain. Keys to renewal. What does it mean, keys to renewal? Emily asked aloud. Turning to Ryan, he shrugged, equally puzzled. Maybe Spark's collar is part of the process. Or maybe it's linked to other creatures like it. Before they could speculate further, Spark stepped forward, pressing its nose against the console. The symbols on its collar flared brightly, syncing with the console's glow. A surge of energy rippled through the room, causing the walls to pulse with light. Emily stumbled back, shielding her eyes as the hum grew louder. When the brightness faded, the images on the walls changed again. This time, they showed humans working alongside creatures like Spark, tending to the land and nurturing the ecosystem. The voice spoke one final time. Harmony restored. Guardians awakened. Together. Restore Luminous 7. Emily stared at the console, her mind racing. Does this mean we're supposed to work with Spark to fix the planet? It looks that way, Ryan replied, scratching his head. But how, and what role do we play? As they tried to make sense of the message, Spark turned and headed back toward the entrance, its glow steady and calm. Emily exchanged a glance with Ryan. I guess we'll figure it out as we go, she said finally. For now, let's head back and share what we've learned. On the return journey, Emily couldn't stop thinking about the hologram's instructions. Restoring balance sounded noble, but the practical steps remained unclear. What they need? To find more creatures like Spark? Could the settlers adapt to coexisting with the planet's original inhabitants? By the time they reached the colony, night had fallen. The settlement was quiet, most people asleep. Emily and Ryan decided to wait until morning to present their findings, knowing that the revelation would spark intense debate. As she settled into bed, Emily replayed the day's events in her mind, feeling both exhilarated and overwhelmed. Spark curled up beside her, its presence comforting. Despite the challenges ahead, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. The hologram's message had been clear: humanity, to role to play in healing Luminous 7. Whether the colony embraced that responsibility or resisted it. One thing was certain: Bark had become a bridge between worlds, and Emily was determined to walk that path, no matter where it led. As sleep claimed her, Emily dreamed of glowing forests, ancient guardians, and a future where humans and aliens worked side by side to restore harmony to a broken planet. Somewhere deep within her, she knew the journey was only beginning, but for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. The next morning, Emily and Ryan gathered the settlers in the colony's main hall to share their findings. The room buzzed with anticipation as people took their seats, curiosity mingling with skepticism. Spark sat quietly at Emily's feet, its glowing fur dimming slightly under the bright lights of the hall. Emily stood at the front, holding a small camera that contained footage of the ruins and the mysterious dome. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of what she was about to say. "Ryan and I went back to the ruins yesterday. What we discovered. It changes everything we thought we knew about Lumina 7. She pressed play on the camera, projecting images of the glowing pedestal, the hologram, and the intricate carvings on the dome. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as the settlers watched. The scenes unfold. When the recording ended, Emily explained the hologram's message about restoring balance and Spark's role as a guide. "This isn't just about Spark," she continued. "It's about Usabat's humanity working together with this planet to heal it." The hologram showed humans and creatures like Spark living in harmony, nurturing the ecosystem. "That's the future we can build if we choose to." Daniel Hayes leaned forward in his seat, his arms crossed tightly. "And what happens if we don't?" he asked sharply. "What if meddling with this balance makes things worse? We've already seen how unpredictable this planet can be." "It's not meddling," Emily countered. "It's understanding. Think about it, the Guardians who lived here before us, left behind tools like Spark's collar and the ruins. They're guiding us, showing us how to fix what they couldn't. If we ignore that, we're turning our backs on the chance to make things better for everyone." Laura Bennett, sitting nearby, nodded in agreement. Emily's right. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about coexistence. If we restore balance to Lumina 7, we secure a future for ourselves too. Healthy ecosystems mean more resources, safer conditions, and a brighter outlook for the colony. The room erupted into debate, voices overlapping as people argued both sides. Some were inspired by Emily's vision of harmony, while others clung to Daniel's cautious approach. Amid the chaos, Spark remained calm, its glow steady as it observed the crowd. After nearly an hour of discussion, Daniel stood up, silencing the room with a raised hand. "Right?" he said firmly. "Let's assume for a moment that Emily's right, and that helping this planet helps us too. How do we even begin? Do we just follow Spark around and hope for the best?" "We start by learning," Emily replied. "By studying the ruins, the dome, and Spark's collar. There's so much we don't know yet, but every step brings us closer to answers. And yes, Spark is leading us because it knows things we don't." Daniel frowned, clearly unconvinced. "Even if that's true, how do we know we can trust it? For all we know, that collar could be controlling it or worse." Before Emily could respond, Spark stood up abruptly, its glow flaring brightly. The sudden burst of light startled everyone, drawing their attention. The creature walked to the center of the room, its movements deliberate and confident. Then, without warning, it activated its collar, releasing a soft hum that resonated throughout. The hall, the settlers fell silent, watching in awe as the symbols on Spark's collar lit up, casting shimmering patterns on the walls. The air seemed to vibrate with energy, and for a brief moment it felt as though the entire room was connected, humans and alien creature alike. When the glow faded, Spark returned to Emily's side, its presence calming once again. No one spoke. For several seconds, the weight of what they had witnessed sinking in, while Ryan said finally, breaking the silence, "I think Spark just made its point. It's not being controlled. It's choosing to help us." Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples. "Fine, let's say we try this. But if anything goes wrong, we pull back immediately. Agreed?" Emily nodded. Agreed. With the decision made, the colony began preparing for the next phase of exploration. Teams were formed to study the ruins and the dome, while others focused on documenting the glowing crystals scattered throughout the forest. Spark became a central figure in the effort, guiding groups to key locations and demonstrating an uncanny ability to navigate the terrain. Over the following days, Emily and Ryan spent most of their time at the dome, analyzing the console and deciphering its symbols. Each interaction revealed new insights, painting a clearer picture of the planet's history. The Guardians, they learned, had been caretakers of Lumina 7, using advanced technology to maintain balance within the ecosystem. When their civilization collapsed, they left behind remnants of their work tools, designed to awaken new Guardians. capable of continuing their mission one afternoon. As Emily traced her fingers over the console's surface, she noticed something unusual. A faint outline appeared beneath her touch, a map etched into the translucent material. The map showed various points across the planet, each marked with a glowing symbol identical to the ones on Spark's collar. "Ryan, look at this," she said excitedly, pointing to the markings. "These must be other sites like the ruins and the dome. Maybe there are more creatures out there waiting to be found." Ryan examined the map closely, his brow furrowing. If that's true, then Spark isn't the only one. It could be others, playing a part in restoring balance. Emily's heart raced with excitement. "We need to explore these locations. Who knows what we'll find." Back at the colony, they presented their discovery to the settlers, emphasizing the importance of investigating the marked sites. While some were eager to help, others remained hesitant, wary of venturing too far from the safety of the settlement. Despite the division, enough volunteers stepped forward to form several teams, each tasked with exploring a different location. As the teams prepared to depart, Emily stayed close to Spark, sensing its growing restlessness. The creature had been unusually quiet since their return from the dome. Its glowed dimmer than usual. She knelt beside it, placing a hand on its head. "What's wrong, Spark? Are you worried about something?" Spark tilted its head, its large eyes filled with emotion. Though it couldn't speak, Emily felt a deep sense of connection, as if the creature was trying to convey a message beyond words. Later that night, as the colony settled into an uneasy sleep, Spark suddenly sprang to its feet, its collar pulsating rapidly. Emily woke with a start, her heart pounding as she realized something was wrong. Following Spark's lead, she grabbed a flashlight and hurried outside. The forest was eerily quiet, the usual hum of life replaced by an oppressive stillness. Spark darted ahead, stopping near the edge of the settlement and staring intently into the darkness. Emily followed cautiously, her breath catching as she spotted movement among the trees. A group of settlers emerged from the shadows, led by Daniel. Hayes, their expressions were grim, their eyes fixed on Spark. In Daniel's hands was a containment device, a portable cage designed to hold animals securely. "What are you doing?" Dimly demanded, stepping protectively in front of Spark. "We can't keep risking the colony for this thing," Daniel replied coldly. "It's too dangerous. We need to study it properly, to understand what it is and what it's capable of." "You're making a mistake," Emily shot back, her voice trembling with anger. "Spark is helping us. Without it, we wouldn't have discovered any of this." "I'm sorry, Emily," Daniel said, his tone firm. "But my priority is keeping everyone safe. If that means taking precautions, then so be it." Before Emily could protest further, Spark let out a sharp bark, its glow flaring brightly. The sudden burst of light startled Daniel and his group, giving Emily a chance to grab Spark's collar and pull it toward the forest. "Run," she shouted, urging Spark forward. Together, they disappeared into the underbrush, pursued by shouts and the sound of footsteps behind them. For what felt like hours, Emily and Spark ran through the dense forest, weaving between trees and leaping over roots. Her lungs burned and her legs ached, but she refused to stop. Finally, they reached a secluded grove, hidden by thick vines and towering rocks. Collapsing onto the ground, Emily hugged Spark tightly, tears streaming down her face. "They won't hurt you," she whispered fiercely. "I promise." As dawn broke, Emily knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. The colony would come looking for them, and when they did, she would have to fight not just for Spark, but for the future of Lumina 7. Restoring balance wasn't going to be easy, but Emily was determined to see it through, even if it meant standing against those she once called allies. The grove where Emily and Spark had taken refuge was quiet, the forest around them alive with soft rustling sounds. Emily sat on the damp ground, her back against a moss-covered rock, trying to catch her breath. Spark curled up beside her, its glow dimmed but steady. The creature's presence was comforting, a reminder that they were in this together. Emily knew they couldn't stay hidden for long. Daniel and his group would eventually find them, and when they did, she needed a plan. Her mind raced as she thought about what to do next. She couldn't let Spark be taken away, not after everything it had shown them, not after the trust it had placed in her. But how could she convince the others that Spark wasn't a threat, that it was, in fact, their best chance at understanding Lumina 7? As the sun rose higher, casting beams of light through the trees, Emily made a decision. The colony, but not alone. She would bring Spark to the ruins, to the pedestal, and show everyone what it was capable of. If they could see the connection between Spark's collar and the ancient technology, maybe they'd understand why it was so important. "Come on, Spark," Emily said softly, standing up and brushing dirt off her clothes. "We need to go back." Spark tilted its head, as if sensing her determination, then stood and followed her out of the grove. They moved cautiously, avoiding open paths and sticking to the shadows of the forest. Every sound made Emily flinch, her heart pounding at the thought of being caught. But Spark seemed to know exactly where to go, guiding her toward the ruins with unwavering confidence. When they reached the clearing, Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. The pedestal stood untouched, glowing faintly in the morning light. She knelt beside it, placing her hand on its smooth surface. The symbols lit up instantly, humming softly as Spark approached. Its collar synced with the pedestal, creating a pulsating rhythm that filled the air. Emily pulled out her camera and began recording, capturing every detail of the interaction. She hoped the footage would serve as proof of Spark's importance and of the role it played in restoring balance to Lumina-7. Before long, voices echoed through the forest. Emily turned sharply, seeing Daniel and several other settlers emerge from the trees. Their expressions were tense, their eyes fixed on Spark. Daniel held the containment device tightly, his jaw clenched. "Emily," he said firmly, "step away. From the creature, we're taking it back to the colony." "No," Emily replied, stepping in front of Spark protectively. "You don't understand. This isn't just some animal, it's part of something bigger. Look at this," she gestured to the pedestal and the glowing symbols. "Spark's collar is connected to this place. It's guiding us to help the planet, to help all of us." Daniel frowned, glancing at the pedestal skeptically. "It's tech we don't understand. That makes it dangerous. You can't risk." "What?" Ryan interrupted, stepping into the clearing. He had been searching for Emily and Spark and had followed the group here. Risk learning something new? Risk actually making a difference instead of hiding behind fear? "Ryan," Daniel snapped. "This isn't your call." "It's not yours either," Ryan shot back. "Emily's right. Spark is leading us to answers that could save this colony. Are you really willing to throw that away because you're scared?" The argument grew heated, voices rising as settlers debated among themselves. Some sided with Daniel, clinging to caution, while others supported Emily and Ryan, eager to embrace the unknown. In the chaos, Spark stepped forward, its glow intensifying until it illuminated the entire clearing. The sudden burst of light silenced everyone. All eyes turned to Spark as it pressed its nose against the pedestal. The symbols flared brightly, releasing a surge of energy that rippled outward. The ground beneath them vibrated gently, and a hologram appeared above the pedestal, larger and clearer than before. The image showed humans and creatures like Spark working side by side, tending to fields, planting trees, and nurturing rivers. The melodic voice spoke again, louder and more urgent. "Harmony restored, guardians awakened. Together, restore Lumina 7. For a moment, no one spoke. The settlers stared in awe at the hologram, their skepticism replaced by wonder. Even Daniel looked shaken, his grip on the containment device loosening. "This is real," Laura whispered, breaking the silence. "This isn't just a message, it's an invitation, an opportunity." Emily stepped forward, addressing the group. "This is our chance to make things right, to heal this planet and secure our future. Spark isn't a threat. It's a guide. If we follow it, we can be the guardians Lumina 7 needs." Slowly, one by one, the settlers nodded in agreement. Daniel lowered the containment device, his expression softening. "All right," he said finally, "let's do this. But if anything goes wrong, we pull back immediately." With the colony united, they returned to the dome, bringing tools and equipment to study the console further. Spark led the way, its glow steady and calm. As they worked, the settlers discovered new functions of the console, each interaction revealing more about the planet's ecosystem and the Guardian's mission. Over time, teams explored the marked locations on the map, finding ruins and artifacts similar to those at the first site. Along the way, they encountered other creatures, like Spark, each wearing a glowing collar and displaying remarkable intelligence. These creatures became partners in the effort to restore balance, guiding settlers to areas in need of repair and demonstrating techniques for nurturing the land. The transformation was gradual, but undeniable. Rivers flowed cleaner, forests grew denser, and the air smelled fresher. Crops planted using methods learned from the Guardians thrived, providing abundant food for the colony. Slowly, the settlers began to see Lumina 7 not as a foreign world to conquer, but as a home to cherish and protect. Emily spent most of her days with Spark, deepening their bond and learning more about its behavior. Though they couldn't communicate with words, she understood the creature's emotions and intentions as clearly as if it were speaking. Spark, in turn, seemed to trust her completely, staying close even as other settlers grew more comfortable interacting with the creatures. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily sat with Spark near the edge of the settlement. The glowing forest stretched out before them, alive with light and sound. She scratched behind Spark's ears, smiling as its tail wagged slightly. "You've changed everything. You know that?" she said softly. "It's not just for me, for all of us." Spark tilted its head, its glowing eyes meeting hers. For a moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for Spark, but for the journey they had shared. Despite the challenges, it found hope in the unknown and purpose in the struggle. As the colony continued to thrive, Emily often thought about the hologram's message. Restoring balance wasn't just about fixing what was broken. It was about building connections, fostering harmony, and embracing the beauty of coexistence. And though there was still much to learn, she knew they were on the right path. In the end, Spark became more than a guide. It became a symbol of unity, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, compassion and understanding could lead the way. Emily watched as the glowing forest pulsed softly in the distance, its lights flickering like stars. Somewhere deep within her, she felt a profound sense of peace. Whatever the future held, she was ready to face it with Spark by her side and the spirit of Lumina 7 guiding her every step.